Defense ministers from all across the alliance will discuss spending more military aid.
Yeah, Ukraine is asking for both fighter jets and long-range missiles. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg says additional shipments of planes will be discussed, but the more pressing issue is ground support. This week, Ukrainian troops began training on new German Leopard battle tanks, but those are not expected to be put into action until the spring. We are joined now by former Defense Secretary Mark Esper. Secretary Esper, thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
There's a report out from the State Department that Russia may choose to ignore dual citizens, Americans who also have Russian citizenship, and that may result in them being forced to fight for Russia against Ukraine in this war. How likely or how possible is that?
Well, with Russia, anything's possible. We saw them last fall conscript 300,000 young men into the service. We've seen that their mercenary group, the Wagner Group, has gone to prisons and recruited 40,000 convicts to fight in the conflict. And there have been murmurings, if you will, that the Russian military may expand its army from 1.1 to 1.5 million people. So they're going to go back and conscript sometime soon, and they could draw Americans into this or dual citizens as a means to both get manpower and maybe to kind of poke the United States.
So this may actually happen. This isn't just, the most scary possible warning to get American citizens out of Russia.
Well, again, it could. I don't know why anybody would want to be in Russia now anyways, given what's happening in that country. This is in some ways foreseeable. Let's hope it's not true. But they are going to have to expand their army, the Russians. And so who knows how broad that net will be.
Now, I understand that Russia may begin an offensive here. We're almost to the one-year mark of this war. What do you think Russia has learned in the past year that might help it continue to claw back a little bit of the territory that it won and then lost again? And then also, what has Ukraine learned that might help it as we enter the second year of the war?
Well, there are actual indications that there may be a slow-rolling offensive underway right now. We know that the Ukrainians are reporting multiple attacks along the front in the Donbass, increase in artillery shelling and whatnot. And so I think there are indications that the offensive that we've been expecting is going to begin sometime soon. What the Russians have learned, in some ways, not much. They're going to resort to the tactics they had, that is massed infantry preceded by artillery bombardments of both military and civilian positions. And I think that is the tactic they've employed recently and in the past. For the Ukrainians, the key is not to fight the Russian fight. They need to adopt the U.S. style of maneuver warfare. And that's why the delivery of Western tanks and fighting vehicles is so very important. Unfortunately, they probably won't see those vehicles for several more weeks, if not months.
Yeah, it takes 22 weeks to train on those American tanks, and we don't know exactly how long it takes to train on the Leopard tanks, but we understand they won't be operational until the spring. And meanwhile, that Russian offensive, as you mentioned, could already be happening. That's Mark Esper. He's the former Secretary of Defense. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.